Hello, everyone. My name is Cambria Whitney, Miss Fresno County, and today I'm here with ABC30 News Anchor Margot Kim, and I'm going to have you do a brief introduction.
All right. Thank you, Cambria. It's my pleasure to speak with you today and to speak with Cambria for this amazing platform. I'm Margot Kim. I am the 6 p.m. and 11 p.m. co-anchor here at ABC30 KFSN TV in Fresno. I have been at the station for 20 years, just marked my 20th anniversary here at ABC30, but I've been in the business for over 30 years. I started when I was 9. So
Wow.
It's a little fuzzy math, but
Yes.
I'm going to go with that story. And I've been all over the country for my job. I am married to a Hoover High grad. I'm a Clovis West grad. We have 2 girls. They are not girls anymore. They're 20 and 18, but they were both raised here in Fresno, and I did a big circle around the country and wanted to come back to raise my family in my hometown, which I am so privileged to do. So I'm very honored to be here with you today and to share a little bit about my story.
Yes. Well, we're so happy to have you. What inspired you to pursue a career as a television news anchor?
Well, I really, first and foremost, had a passion for storytelling. So I really was strongest in my English classes and composition and writing. And I knew I wanted to do something with it eventually. Couple that with my theater background. So I loved the performing arts. I was involved in theater throughout high school, actually from grade school, junior high, and high school. And this career was the perfect marriage of both, because I'm on camera presenting news in a way that is a form of performance, but using my writing skills and journalistic skills every single day. So
Yes.
it really was the best of both worlds.
Yes. How did you overcome self-doubt or fear of failure while breaking into the news industry?
The news industry, because it is a very subjective business, just like a performer or an actor or singer, and there are people who hire you based on what they need to fill at their station, right? So if they need a male anchor or versus a female anchor, or somebody who's a veteran versus somebody who's just starting out in the business. So if you fit what they're looking for at that time, you have a good chance of being hired. If you don't, then you might fit somewhere else. So the challenge is to make yourself marketable, I guess, or invaluable to potential employers. So when that self-doubt comes in, oh, maybe I'm not right for this job, or maybe I'm not right for that job, but sooner or later you'll find your fit. And what I also found was, when I have self-doubt, I ask somebody who has more knowledge than me, more experience than me, somebody who's been through where I want to get to.
Yeah.
So really reaching out and asking for help is invaluable. And you can't be afraid to ask for help, because there will be always somebody to offer it.
Yes.
And that is the number one way you learn and grow and overcome your self-doubt.
Yes. Was there a defining moment in your career when you knew you were on the right path?
I would say that one of the memories that stands out in my mind, in this job, many times you have to go to smaller markets to start. And then as you advance in your career, you get to a bigger and bigger market. So, and a lot of reporters and anchors, eventually their goal is to get to the network level.
Yes.
Or many of us like to stay in our hometown and live out our career in our hometown, or maybe it's the next large city. So I started in a tiny little town, Mason City, Iowa, far away from Fresno.
Yes.
As my first job. And like I mentioned, I moved all around the country. I was in Iowa, I was in Ohio, Seattle, before making the decision that I wanted to come back home and really just live out the rest of my career close to my family. Before that, my very first job in Iowa, I was 23, just starting out.
Wow. And
there were very few minorities in this tiny little town. It's the middle of the Midwest, and the nicest people in the world, and the greatest steaks. But anyways, this little girl came up to me, and she was this little Asian girl, and said, "I love watching you because you look like me."
Wow.
And at that point, I knew I was doing the right thing,
Yes.
because that hit me that not only am I doing my job, but I'm also an example, and also a role model
Yes.
for girls and for especially minority women
Yes.
who want to pursue this business. So that just really touched me. She's probably like 30 years old by now. And I don't know, maybe she did follow.
Yes.
But she was the cutest thing. And it really, that has stayed with me my whole life.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from your journey in broadcast journalism?
I guess the biggest lesson would be that everybody has a story to tell. And this job just gives me the privilege to tell those stories.
Yes.
And every day is different. One day as a reporter, you might interview the mayor of the city, maybe even lucky enough to interview the president.
Yes.
Or then the following day, you might interview somebody who's homeless and who has a story to tell, and who maybe struggled and survived against the odds. That story is just as important, if not as more important. So you get to meet people in all walks of life and tell all different stories, and everybody's story has an impact.
Yes.
And through what we report every day, we could either inspire somebody else, we could affect change, we could move decision makers to create new laws, to right a wrong, or to seek justice.
Yeah.
And so just by the stories that we tell, because it reaches a huge audience all at once.
Yes.
So one of my most memorable stories, besides that little girl talking to me, but there was a group of business people, and they were frustrated because they were getting robbed repeatedly.
Wow.
And they felt this is not here. This was in a different market. They felt that they were not being heard, and that law enforcement was not acting quickly enough to try to solve these crimes, or to catch who was doing this. And it looked like maybe one or two people were doing these robberies, the same people repeatedly. So we did a story on that, and we aired their frustrations, and asked them, why do you feel that law enforcement's not taking you seriously, and what do you think, what would you like to have happen? The next day they caught the guy.
Wow.
Because they felt the pressure.
Yep.
They felt the pressure of the community and a concern that maybe they had not heard.
Yes.
Or that these business owners didn't have a voice.
Yes.
And so through our storytelling and our news gathering, we were able to give them a voice.
Yes.
And it affected change.
Wow.
It can be a motivating factor.
Yes.
And it can be, inspiring too. A child who's battling cancer.
Absolutely.
And their parents are struggling because it's exorbitant to pay for that, and they, out of pocket expenses.
Yeah.
And we do one story, and they have a GoFundMe page, and there's thousands of dollars that pour in.
Wow.
I mean, what's better than that?
Yes. What advice would you give to an aspiring journalist who dreams of being on television, but they're unsure of where to start?
I would say really find out what your passion is. And that goes for any career, really. But again, if you love to tell stories, you love to write, and you love people and meeting people, that's the foundation, really. And everything else falls into place. This business, it has a way of sort of trial and error, really putting you through things to really find out if you want to stay in it, right?
Yes.
I mean, the hours are crazy, okay? You can work early mornings. I worked early mornings for 11 years here. I got up at 2 a.m. I was here by 3:30 a.m. I was on the air at 4:30 a.m. And my day ended at 12 noon. I had put in an 8-hour day before most people had lunch.
Wow.
But I could go home and take care of my children for the rest of the day. So that schedule enabled me to do that. Now I work nights, which I start at 2:30 in the afternoon. I work until 11 o'clock at night. I have all this time in the morning, to hang out with my family and my kids. And then I go to work while they're off doing their things. It's sort of a trade-off, right?
Yes.
And then wherever my family was at the time, I could adapt. But the hours are still crazy.
Yes.
And it's working weekends, it's working nights, early mornings, it's working almost every holiday.
Yes.
And the news doesn't stop. It's 24 hours. So we are expected to cover the news, just like a firefighter or a policeman or,
Yes.
or a hospital worker,
Yeah.
right? They're there. The holiday is just another day.
Yeah.
But that's what drove me to decide to come back home, because then I could just be near family and spend my holiday with them, because I'm back home.
Yes.
And I didn't have to travel, you know, or miss
Yes.
holidays, or
Yes.
my kids' school recital, or whatever it might be. But if you really have a passion in it, then those things will be worth it.
Yes.
And if you stick with it, you know, eventually you will be rewarded.
Yes.
And you'll find your place. And there's a lot of people here that I work with that they like to work weekends because their family schedule, and you know, or they like to work the mornings and be home in the afternoon.
Yes.
So you can find a schedule that works for your life.
Yes.
And pretty much in any realm.
Yeah.
But develop a passion. What do you really want to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
for you're welcome.
Meeting me
the
here
time
today.
flew.
I know, it did. But yes, well, we appreciate all your advice, and I know that it's going to reach so many people out there. So thank you so much.
Well, it's been my pleasure, Cambria, and it was my pleasure to speak with you.
Yes.
And above all else, ask a mentor. Find a mentor and ask somebody, and find an example of what you'd like to do or become.
Yes.
And that person will have invaluable advice.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And thank you. And watch ABC30.
And watch ABC30. Tune in.